exhibition called In Flanders Fields that traces the history of the First World War in that area. Very, very powerful, and not only have they got some great relics there, but they've also used the personal testimony of people who lived through the First World War and put them into the mouths of actors who are there next to the exhibit speaking to you in translated into 4 languages, into German, into Dutch, into French, into English. Very powerful. And I sat watching one particular, one of these dioramas, which was a nurse who'd been tending to the wounded at the Battle of Passchendaele. And she spoke some very, very powerful words. She said that when death becomes so cheap, it is we, the watchers, not the dying, who are poisoned. And it immediately made me think of the pictures I've been seeing from Gaza. It really struck me, the cheapness of death, too powerful to speak of. And I spoke at the festival. I spoke a little bit at the festival about that. And someone said to me, you know, you're a pacifist, Bill. You're a pacifist. You're against war. Why would you go to a war museum? Why would you spend an afternoon in Flanders in a war museum? There's a very, very simple reason. If I can explain it, take a moment to explain it. Last November, we were in Hamburg doing a show, and it was the 75th anniversary of the Kristallnacht pogrom of 1938, when the Nazis went onto the streets in Berlin and other German cities, attacking Jewish businesses, attacking Jewish families. It was really the first really big, obvious moment where if anyone had eyes to see would have seen what was coming. And it was very big in Germany. Angela Merkel made a speech, all of the newspapers marked the commemoration. And I was thinking to myself, I really should do something. What can I do here? And I happened to notice that the Hamburg City Museum has a permanent exhibit of the Jewish community of Hamburg. So I thought, out of respect, this is what I should do. You know, I was there all day, so I went to this exhibit. Really powerful, really great exhibit. And as I was coming through, listening on the headphones in English, explaining what the things were, I came upon a photograph, a full-size photograph, of a World War I German soldier marching off to war exactly 100 years ago now. And the headphones told me that this soldier was a Jewish citizen of Hamburg, and he was saying through his diary to me that he was really proud and excited to be going off to fight for Germany in the war. And I found this odd. And then I thought of my own grandfather, who wrote in his diary 100 years ago on Monday that on hearing that war was declared, he and his cousin, they were 20, cycled 12 odd miles from Barking to get outside Buckingham Palace with the crowds that were cheering and celebrating the declaration of war. And I've always had a trouble with that image in my mind about my grandfather celebrating the war come. But I've come to the conclusion, thinking about it, that picture of that German Jewish citizen in Hamburg made me really think about it. And the conclusion that I came to was that they had forgotten. They had forgotten what war really meant. The British Army had not been fighting in Europe really since the Battle of Waterloo. Their parents had not told them the real terror of war, because they'd not experienced, or their grandparents, as our grandparents and parents did, they'd not had that experience. They had forgotten. And that is why these commemorations, why the museum in Flanders, why remembering, particularly now that not only are we lost everybody from the First World War, but we're slowly losing those people who experienced the Second World War. Not just the combatants, but more importantly the civilians. And it's our duty to them to make sure that our children and grandchildren understand the true price of conflict, in the hope that it may never happen again. I was a miner. I between the wars. I raised a family in time of austerity, with sweat at the foundry between the wars. I paid the union, and as times got harder, I looked to the government to help the working man. But they brought prosperity down at the armory, we're arming for peace, me boys, between the wars. I kept the faith, and I kept voting up for the iron fist, but for the helping hand, for this is a land with a wall around it, and mine is a faith in my fellow man. This is a land of hope and glory. Mine is the green field and the factory floor. These are the skies dark with bombers, and mine is the peace between the wars. Call up the craftsman, bring me the draftsman, build me a path from cradle to grave, and I'll give my consent to any government that does not deny a man a living wage. Go find the other, never to fight again. Bring up the banners from the days gone by. Sweet moderation, heart of this nation, desert us not, we are between